6 things you need to know before you go. The investigation into the shooting death of a 6-year-old girl in the metro continues. Law enforcement officials say there were more children in the home at the time of that shooting. Those children are now wards of the state.
A federal judge denies former Nebraska Representative Jeff Fortenberry's request to delay his upcoming trial. His attorneys hoped to buy time until President-elect Trump's DOJ could have the chance to reconsider the case.
And Douglas County investigators served a search warrant at a home in Bennington. This is related to the dangerous mystery on Highway 36 that we've been following. Deputies left the home without comment. No arrests were made.
A state audit says Nebraska DHHS is abusing its resources. Auditor Mike Foley highlights multiple examples, one of them involving a contractor who was paid by the state for services while he was behind bars.
Governor Jim Pillen says Nebraska will enroll in the summer EBT program next year. The program offers families money for groceries. More than 100,000 families benefited from the program this past summer.
Nebraska volleyball takes on Penn State in the Final Four tonight. The match will air on ESPN. First serve is expected around 8 o'clock.